I asked this of John, and I need your answer too, Jeff Kerr. Who's been the Eagles' best offensive player in preseason so far?
Ooh, this is a good one. Can we go with Kenny Gainwell? I mean, he had a pretty good game Thursday night. I think he had 50 all-purpose, 50 yards from scrimmage. I mean, caught the ball really well, looked good running between the tackles. I actually think he has a chance to be the number 2 running back. Devonta Smith had a pretty good debut for what it was. I mean, his route running is as crisp as ever, really. I actually thought it was a little better than it was in Alabama last year. So he's clearly trying to improve that part of his game, not like it needed much improvements. This is tough because they really haven't played that many starters. But if we're going off,
right now, let me clarify my question. Either I didn't state it well enough, or you didn't take it well enough. I'm including practices, which you and I'm not there at all. You're there once in a while. A guy like John Mack is there every single day, including what's being reported that they do in practices, not just the 2 games that they played, but who's been the best Eagle offensive player from the time they ran their first Nick Sirianni run practice till today.
I'll tell you what, now that you brought this up, I mean, again, this is tough because I thought Zach Ertz has had a lot of good practices.
Ding, ding, ding. You don't have to go any further. Thank you very much for giving me the answer I was looking for. I get it. And I asked John, and he gave me an honest answer, which I appreciate. And it scares me that he gave me the answer he did. Zach Ertz has been the Eagles' best player. We're now more than halfway through from the first practice to the first game, with one more game to go and then that extra week in between. We're more than halfway through. If you're the best player on the team, why would you trade your best player?
You don't.
I get it. You got to look, John said, the 2 mile wide high view, which I get and I understand, and he's right. But he's their best player. I know he's only got 1 year to go on a contract. I know he's probably being overpaid this year, but you gave him that contract at $8 million for where he is compared to the other tight ends in the league. But he's your best player. And I know that there's some bad blood between he and the organization, and some media outlets here in town had him traded 6 months ago, 5 months ago, 4 months ago, 3 months ago, and he's still here, and he's your best player. How do you trade your best player? If the coach believes he's your best player, how do you trade your best player?
This is the other thing, Jody, we got to keep in mind here. If you're doing whatever you can to make sure your quarterback succeeds, and I'm talking about Jalen Hurts, Zach Ertz is going to be a security blanket. Zach Ertz is going to be his go-to guy. It's going to be like Don McNabb to Chad Lewis in 2000. That's the guy you go to. That's the guy that's going to make plays for you. I don't really care what Zach Ertz does after this year. If he wants to extend his career somewhere else and make a lot of money, fine. You still have him. Teams clearly are not willing to give up what they want for. Bill Belichick said to Jamie Apodi last week, Zach Ertz wants 2 of my grandkids and the first. I mean, Howie Roseman wants 2 of my grandkids and a first-round pick. So, yeah, you keep Zach Ertz. You keep him on this team. You keep Dallas Goedert on this team. You have 2 good tight ends. If one of them gets hurt, then you're in trouble. It's Tyree Jackson is hurt. You got to keep Zach Ertz. I've been on Team Zach Ertz since day one. You keep Zach Ertz on this roster. Bottom line, with the wide receiver group that you have, Zach Ertz is the second best receiver on this team, period.
And here's why there are many reasons why I think Zach Ertz has got to stay, but one that I think is underemphasized. Everyone made such a big deal about the fact that Zach Ertz is pulling down $8 million this year. Is he an $8 million tight end anymore? In a vacuum, no. Compare him to what Kittle makes and Kelsey makes and other tight ends make, who will be as productive as Zach Ertz this year. And, yeah, you're going to say, really? He's an $8 million player? I get it. It doesn't matter anymore. The Eagles roster is pretty much set. Their cap is set. They're not bringing in multi-million-dollar players at this stage because they're not available. So having that cap flexibility and paying someone a tight end that much less than Zach Ertz, well, what are you going to do with the money anyway? There's nobody out there that you can get. I need an upgrade at safety. Let me go grab a $6 million safety. There's not a $6 million safety out there to be grabbed. So during the offseason, when several media outlets, if it seems like I'm rubbing salt in the wound, yes, I am, had him traded 6 months ago, 5 months ago, 4 months ago, 3 months ago, yeah, then you could have used the money. Then you had free agents out there that were still available. Then you could have gone in a different direction with your roster. That ship has sailed. So the fact that Zach Ertz is making $8 million now is virtually irrelevant to the Eagles because they've already budgeted him in. He's here. He's making $8 million. You've got your other players, so be it. Clearing it up and clearing him out is not really going to be of use to the Eagles. So why wouldn't you keep the best player on your offensive team as of right now?
Yeah, and again, we're still going into week 1. It's not like this team is 2-5, 2-6 going into the trade deadline and all hope seems lost, and some team's offering you a high day 2 pick or a 3rd round pick for Zach Ertz. Then you consider it. But right now, no. Like you owe this quarterback. You owe him every opportunity to give him the best possible weapons on the football field. And I know they want young guys to develop. Fine. I know you want to sign Dallas Goedert to an extension. Fine. But you don't do that at the expense of Zach Ertz. And I agree with you 100%, Jody. You keep this guy on your roster. He's a veteran player. He's a leader. And he's been a good soldier. He's not going to get TO on you. He's not. He's not going to be like, I'm not going to play. I'm going to do sips in my driveway. I'm not going to say, well, if Brett Favre is my quarterback, we'd be undefeated. Well, no, he's not going to do that. He's just going to play out his contract, and then he's going to move on peacefully and probably sign with the Colts or somewhere else. And, just move on. Both sides will move on. And, the Eagles tried to get something for him this offseason. They obviously couldn't do it. And I agree, Jody. People had him traded 6 months ago. And the farther we went on in this thing, I'm like, you know what? Just keep the guy. And after the draft, I said, just keep Zach Ertz. Like, there's no point now. And I'm glad he's here. I want him to stay here. I don't really care they don't get anything for him. It is what it is.
That's an excellent point you make about prior to the draft, because I was with everybody else. I thought there was a chance he was going to get traded leading up to the draft when it didn't happen. Now, what are you going to get if you do trade Zach Ertz? Well, of course, it's going to be a draft pick, which you're not going to be able to use for an entire year. If you could have gotten a draft pick last year and the draft pick's actually on the roster and it's helping you in 2021, that makes sense. Now that you've got him and you're coming up on a season and the asset you're going to get isn't going to help you, we all know the Eagles are up against it this year. The best thing you can say about the Eagles' playoff chances are this year is that they're still in the NFC least, with the Washington football team and the Dallas with a quarterback question and the Giants with a major quarterback question as far as I'm concerned, much like the Eagles with their quarterback question with Ertz. If they were in another division, we wouldn't even have the little reserve in the back of our mind. Hey, they could actually make the playoffs. It'd be that much of a longer shot. So that's what they've got going for them. A 2022 draft pick is not going to help you at all. Zach Ertz can actually help you win football games this year. I don't think they're in full tank mode to get a high draft pick in case Jalen Hurts isn't good enough. You want to have that, plus your other draft assets and capital to be able to move up to get. They shouldn't be thinking about that. Not really. That should not be the number one focus. The number one priority should be developing this football team, developing Jalen Hurts, giving him a legit shot, and Zach Ertz can do just that. All right, let me follow up on something else we discussed with John. I'm kind of leaning a little bit more toward what I think your position is, as by the way you asked the question. Milt Williams, he actually has played well in the 2 preseason games. He's been one of their better defensive linemen because he's actually playing. A whole bunch of Eagles defensive linemen aren't seeing the field because they're being protected. So we can only see what our eyes tell us. And Milt Williams has looked pretty good. And I think he has played his way into that defensive line rotation. They played him more outside than they have inside. And we know outside they haven't used too many guys yet. When they're all up to speed and they're all playing and all taking snaps, it's going to be harder to play outside. This upcoming game, you think we'll see that much more of Milt Williams at defensive tackle? Because I actually think he has a chance to be part of the rotation at DT this year.
Yeah, I do too. And this is why I brought up the question. And I'm not really concerned about Fletcher Cox or Javon Hargrave at all. They've had good camps. But Milton Williams, behind him, T.Y. McGill's been okay. Hassan Ridgeway is not a good camp from what I was told. So that's why I brought it up. Like, okay, do we move this guy inside now? I'm thinking of the line of an Eagles coach here. Because the pass rush they're pretty much set. Barnett, Sweat, Graham. Again, there's tons of guys all over the place that can play. Kerrigan, but inside, it's Milton Williams. I think he's played his way into a little bit more than 15, 20 snaps a game. I think you could save Fletcher Cox a little bit early in the season and kind of rotate him in there with Javon Hargrave. Now, you are taking a massive hit in terms of the pass rush, but I think Milton Williams can hold his own. I think he's been doing a pretty good job against first-team offensive linemen. He did against Pittsburgh, and he did against New England. So, yeah, I'm with you on that camp, Jody. I think you got to move him inside a bit. I think you got to see what you have here. I think he's definitely surpassed Hassan Ridgeway as number 3 defensive tackle if they want to go that route. And maybe they mix his snaps at end and that tackle again because McMullen's right. They are grooming him like Brandon Graham, but I'm a little concerned. And again, defensive tackle, it's fine, but I'm a little concerned in case Cox or Hargrave get hurt, not for Milton Williams, but who's behind Milton Williams. And I think that's why you got to put him inside.
We are your Birds 365 guys. Jeff Kerr, Jordan McDonald with you. All right, Jeff, I got an assignment for you. We got about a 4-minute break coming up here. So I'm going to need you to hop on your computer during the 4 minutes. First, I'll start with a question. Did you watch the NFL Network yesterday in their putting out the 30 of the top 40 players in the NFL as per the NFL players themselves? Did you watch that at all yesterday?
Okay, so I got a funny story. I happened to turn it on when Deshaun Watson was picked. 18. Boy, was that like an obituary for him. No one wanted to talk about him. Someone said they don't know when he's ever going to see the field again. I'm like, okay, I might have seen enough.
It was well done. I was on the air both of the last 2 Sundays when they revealed the list. Last week was from 100, which Brandon Graham was number 99, got right in there early, did BG, and he made the list at least. And Jason Kelsey was, I believe, 92. Fletcher Cox was somewhere in the 60s. Eagles got 3 guys on the list, but nobody in the top 50 or even the top 60 because I think Fletcher was in the 60s. So they revealed 100 through 41. And then yesterday they did 40 through 11. And then sometime later this week before the season starts, they're going to give you the top 10. I want you to take a look at 40 through 11. Anybody who's 41 and over, yeah, chances are they weren't going to be good enough to be the top 10. They haven't revealed the top 10. Last night on my show on CBS Sports Radio, I said, here are your top 10. I think it's easy enough to figure out who the top 10 are. So I did it over the course of, I don't know, a couple hours. I'm going to ask you to do it over the course of 4 minutes. During this upcoming break, I want you to go online, go to the NFL.com, see the guys who were ranked between, like, say, 11 and 35. That'll give you the most of the top players. There'll be 10 key guys who haven't been listed yet that you can probably figure are the top 10 guys. I want to see if you come up with the same top 10 as me, all right?
All right. I probably got 6 off the top of my head already.
There you go. See, the Kerr is just that good. Now he's got to figure out the other 4. Come back with us here on Birds 365. We got a whole hour and change left to go. Matt Verderam from Fansided, outstanding NFL writer who covers the entire league, is going to be our guest in hour number 2. But when we come back, Jeff Kerr tells you, and I'll tell you whether he's either right or not, who are the top 10 players as per the NFL players this year in their vote on the NFL Network. Who are the top 10 players in the NFL next? Here on Birds 365.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.